Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, but there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next show. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you're not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Mark Doxy and Chocolate Sane. How are you all doing? Beep, beep. Hello. Haven't done any housekeeping in a while. Any signs of curvature, anybody? Non-linear, linear perspective? Nope. Axial rotation? Any signs of that, anybody?
Nope.
Might turn you up a bit, Travis. You're a bit quiet.
Alright.
Back gravity. Any signs of that?
It was a good movie.
Doesn't count. Sorry. Pressurized system next to a non-pressurized system? Vacuum? Anybody shown any evidence of that?
Still waiting.
No way, no how. Ah. Anybody? Anybody?
Pregnant pause.
No?
Nope.
I think that concludes our housekeeping. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
molten...
you think if you were...
Go on.
You think if you were a baller, you'd be ready to go at the beginning of the show with all the answers for those questions.
Molten iron core? Anybody shown any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core?
Yeah, right.
No, nobody? Bumholes. That's a shame. I guess we'll have to decide that it's flat then.
What it's looking like. Gotta be honest.
Everyone's really quiet. I've turned you all up maximum. You're still really quiet. Might turn the hangout a bit higher. See if that helps. Can you say something, Chocolate?
Hello.
Yeah, it's still a little bit quiet, but it's all good. So Ranty showed us some cool images yesterday. I'm not going to present them because I want him to do it when he gets back in a few days. He's busy for the next couple of days. But what he got was a boat, like the ones he shows us with the compression zone. But the boat was directly in front of the turbines. So until now, we've been looking at these turbines, and where they have the mirage layer, circle of confusion, dirty air, doesn't matter what you want to call it, that layer where you get a mirage of itself below it, because they're poles, you can't tell. You know, they look at that and go, there's the obstruction, and it isn't. So when you've got a boat in front of it that's about half the distance between you and the turbines themselves, you can see that effect in the boat really clearly. So you can see where the obstruction starts and what the obstruction is and how it's affecting the image at approximately half the distance to those turbines. Now obviously beyond that layer, you're not going to get, you know, more visibility. It's going to get worse, and the things that are in the far distance have suffered an angular size reduction, therefore are going to be more subject, because they're smaller, to that band, and therefore look like they are disappearing bottom up, precisely as we see them, but purely down to that layer. So when Ranty gets back in a couple of days, I'll get him to put that up. If it's been lost in the million tons of footage that Ranty's currently gathering, then I've taken a couple of screen grabs of it so I can, you know, jog his memory. But Ranty's on fire at the moment. He's just it's just doing such a good job. It's just gathering so much top quality information. Same with Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. So DITRH was on just chatting to us on Skype before we went live and explaining about some of the things he's been doing with his drone. You know, and he's getting frustrated because he's obviously being attacked by ballers, and it seems like he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If he puts the solar filter on, which apparently he has done now. So he said he got a P900 solar filter, which he cut down so it would fit on the drone, but it essentially blocked out all the light. He couldn't see anything, which isn't surprising. But he's also trying other filters, but not for the benefit of trolls saying, you need to use this, you need to do that. You know, he wants to see what's going on up there.
Did we allow that video of his yesterday to get lost in translation by taking all the points down that they were unhappy with? I think that we perhaps should consider representing the video and just making it clear what the actual point of the video is, because that was one thing that David said. He said the point of the video is not blah blah blah, it's this. So do you think we should represent it?
I'll summarise the point if you can dig it out. So what David Weiss has done, just to give a background, is he's gone up with the drone to about I can't remember if it was a couple of 100 meters or 100 meters, something like that. He's gone up, so he's up in elevation, and he's just filming the sunset, static, relatively. Obviously, he's in a drone. He's on it. The footage is coming from a drone, but relatively static, and just watching the sun fade out. So with no filters at all, on several occasions, different days, different conditions, he has watched the sun fade out. You've got the video going. Is it full screen?
Yep.
Excellent. So this is him popping the filter on. This is an edited version. If you can just click hide on that little tab. So anyway, so he sent this up, and the whole point of the video is not to show any angular size reduction with the filters, although he is trying to filter it to reduce some of the glare. He's trying to show or demonstrate that the sun does not disappear behind any Earth curve. It's not setting below the landscape as the Earth turns. What he's actually getting is the sun fading out. So that's what he's demonstrating. So in reality, in terms of what he's trying to demonstrate, the filters make no difference. You know, it's not his argument to say this is demonstrating an angular size reduction. He's saying, here's the sun. That's what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like when it's faded out, or when it allegedly goes behind the curve of the Earth, which it doesn't appear to from the footage that he's capturing.
So basically what his point is that it doesn't reduce to a half moon, reduce to a quarter moon, it reduced to a dot. It just gets switched off. It doesn't go down. So perhaps we lost sight of the point of the video, and I think it's right to reassert the position. So let's just get it clear. It doesn't go down. So why does it not go down before it extinguishes? Sean was asked, Sly Sparkane was asked. They had a hangout last night, and the beginning of the hangout started with just an outright lie from Sean. I was on a chat with Nathan last night and a couple of others. So I didn't actually watch it live. I started to watch it like after the event, but then realised that he started the hangout with another lie. So I didn't watch the rest of the hangout. So if anybody knows what the conclusion of the hangout was with Sean and friends, why is this doing this? What was the conclusion? Because I'm not going to watch it when he's just lying. Sean can't tell the truth. He doesn't know what the truth is. He doesn't understand what basic comprehension language skills are. When somebody says something, it means what they say. It doesn't mean the opposite, or it doesn't mean something different. It means what they say. Now, I didn't watch any of the hangout, but I do want to know what the conclusion of the point was. So does anybody know what the conclusion of the point was from Sean's hangout? Why does the sun not go down? Why does it disperse? It's supposed to set behind the dark part. Doesn't do it.
Yeah, I want to hear the ballers' excuse about this one. Because that should never, ever happen. If the sun sets the way they tell us it does, that should ever, ever happen.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure we need to worry about what they say, because they're not interested.
Oh, I'm not. I just want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to bolster our community with our own peer review consensus and start focusing on that. I think we need to be our own critics. You know, we need to criticize David and do it in a constructive way, not in something where he's going to take it personally and question the validity of what he's observing. Although I think we do that to a certain extent. But
the only thing that I think is a fair, valid complaint or criticism is that it is a little bit out of focus. So it is possible that the light might constrict. Everyone uses the word dilate, and it's the opposite of the word constrict. But you know what people mean when they say dilate. Reduces down to a point. If it's out of focus, it will look bigger and it'll look blurred, like the stars do. You can almost get the stars in focus with a P900. They're not quite there, but you can see that there is moving psychedelic effects with the stars. But because they're not quite in focus, they have that circular orb effect to them. So that is a valid complaint or a valid critique, but I don't think it's strong enough to address the point. But he's gonna redefine them or have another go with it, because he's pumped up. He thinks he's got something there, and I think he's got something too, and I'd like to see more of it, but it doesn't appear to support the notion that it's going down behind the curvature of the Earth. Proximity is a thing.
That's the thing. Even if it was completely out of focus and you can see it going down behind the Earth, they would say, "Oh, it's fantastic. That just proves the globe." The only reason they're complaining about it now is because it fades out. It doesn't go behind the Earth. So they have to point at something and say, that's wrong. That's it.
Shouldn't be too hard to explain why that happens. There's a miraging zone there, right? Sun disk is an optical phenomena. So yeah, if it's gonna move in that miraging zone, there's gonna be distortions, including compression. So I'm not surprised at all. I've been saying this from the very get-go, and that is that the sun disk might, in some instances, shrink down while maintaining a constant angular speed, because it's very close to the horizon.
I just feel that flat Earth is for entertainment purposes only. No one actually thinks the Earth is flat.
I do. I
think the Earth is flat. Why would you say that?
Because it's the truth. I'm gonna do a show about it on P Mars.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it now? Why don't you present?
Yeah, go.
Because
I'm gonna finish what I was saying.
Oh, now you know how it feels when you get interrupted, Arwin. Welcome to the club.
Oh, come on.
This is in the house. Yo.
Very nice.
Hey,
you do it all the time, and you know it.
Arwin, what's up, buddy?
So, as I was explaining, it's moving. The sun disk is moving into that narrow field of view effect. It's moving into the circle of confusion if it's not being obstructed, and then it might shrink down, or it might blur all over the place, just like with Ranty's footage.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Nigger.
Fuck
Nigger.
you.
Are you serious?
No need.
Thank you.
No need, P-Mars.
I triggered P-Mars to leave.
As I was saying, sorry.
I think I know what the P stands for, Mars.
As I was saying, and I'm going to be finished quite soon, just like with all this
Nigger.
Shithead. So,
no need.
Just like with the footage of the boats, sometimes gets compressed, sometimes it gets reflected, miraged, and the same thing happens.
Hey Dean, how you
with
doing?
The sun.
Hey Dean.
Hello. Yes, I am here to debate this, and I am what you call a ball earther, although I don't find the term particularly cool. You can call me a planet earther. But
you sound like Cat Earth.
I sound like what?
Cat Earth. Alex.
You do. You sound like Cat Earth. Keep talking, my friend. Keep talking.
I am originally from Yorkshire. I do hide my accent since I moved down south a little bit.
Oh. He does sound like Cat. It's not Cat Earth, but he sounds a lot like
I don't know who you're on about. I take it this is someone that sounds pretty much like me then.
Just a regular. You sound a bit like him, don't worry.
It's like looking in a mirror, man. It's that good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So can I get some reply to the statement I just made? Comparison to the several mirage effects of the boats?
You do realise you've just interrupted our new guest.
It's all good. That's the
Wasn't
way it
making
goes
any
sometimes.
point. He was just saying hello.
Yeah, and you interrupted him.
Yeah, well, he interrupted me, and I wanted to kind of finish what I was saying and then get a reply from the panel.
Fair enough.
Instead of just being glanced over like
Hold
usual.
on. Let Arwen get to the end of his point. He has been interrupted by me and other people several times.
Your point got lost, Arwen. Come on, do it.
Yeah, so the sun disk, at some instances, comes to the circle of confusion very close to the horizon, and then depending on the conditions, several optical effects can apply, including compression, including reflection, all these types of effect depending on the conditions, just like with boats being filmed in the far distance. What do you guys think?
Totally agree.
Are you saying that just to shut him up?
I concur.
No, I do actually agree. On account of the fact that we have images of exactly that happening.
I do.
Circle of confusion is confusing.
I agree. There is a layer of a sandwich sits on top of the horizon that seems to be weird.
Yeah, sandwich.
Tony always brings it round to food.
You got a new line for your poem, Alan.
Yeah,
Hey, Arwen, on a different...
that mirage band with a fold line running down the length of it. Something that would be impossible to replicate on a curved surface. That band. That's the one we're talking about, Alan.
That band?
Yeah, the band
Shouldn't we,
that we see in the
call it
images.
the horizontal confusion instead of circle?
Yeah.
The point of convergence. I like the Anthony's food analogies. Continue, guys.
Indeed.
Well, I just wanted to ask Arwen a question about yesterday's hangout. Have you seen the comments in the after? You know, not the text during the hangout, the comments after the hangout for the show yesterday, Arwen.
Well, I've read mine. Yeah.
People think that you're actually a shill at the minute, right?
Give a shit what they think.
So, do you think the Earth's a ball?
Yo, Arwen's the least chill.
Do you think the Earth's a ball, Arwen, that presents itself as flat?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't know what it is. I'm entertaining theories from all the angles, and I'm trying to get into the mindset of the ballers, how they've been taught, how they think, to try to reach them instead of just bashing them over the head with something they're going to ignore.
All right. You're aware that people are beginning to question whether you're a shill or not.
You seem to be picking on him a lot, Tony.
I've just got issues that need to be addressed, and I think the best way to do it at times is to ask him.
I don't mind anybody picking on
Well,
me.
if I'm a shill, then I'm doing it on a voluntary basis because I'm still not getting paid for anything here.
Sure.
It's been perceived that you're semantically putting your wording, Arwen, just in case you can jump chips at any time. That's what I perceive of you. I mean, sometimes.
Listen, gentlemen, don't wash dirty linen in public. Let's get to the subject.
Well, I'm just making the point that it appears that some people think that he's a ball earther in disguise or as a shill or whatever, and it is confusing because some of the wording and the phraseology that he uses is confusing. So I just wanted to ask him publicly so we could state what his position is.
Did I ever say that the Earth is a ball?
You say flat Earth.
Did I ever say a single time that the Earth is a ball, Riley?
Yeah, but you did say that the Earth could be a ball and present
not
itself
what
as
I
flat
said.
because of curvilinear perspective. Did you not?
No, that's not what I said.
I
I said if the Earth is a ball.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's an if statement.
Yeah, if. Yeah, so the statement was correct then.
That's theoretical.
It could be a ball.
No. It's a theoretical statement. It's an if statement.
Yeah, the Earth could be, not is.
No, if.
Can we hear what Dean's got to say?
Oh.
Yeah. I'd really like to weigh in on all of this, to be honest, because I find the whole thing fascinating.
Okay, give us one point that you want to discuss.
It's implausible to think that the sun is incredibly close due to my personal and everybody's personal observational experiments that we can perform and the logic on that.
Well, I'm not in a position to talk about that.
How many people got sniped? I did.
Well, you wouldn't be sniped, otherwise you couldn't come back.
No, he's on a different account.
Yeah, this is my second account.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Chris Berry.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
So Chris wants to talk about the distance of the sun.
No, Dean, but Chris.
Sorry, Dean. Sorry, Dean.
I think it was a network issue, actually. Who wants to address this? So Dean's saying...
I'm still here if you can hear me.
So what's your observations and conclusions?
Okay, so I've talked to a lot of flat earthers in the past 3 weeks, and from what I can discern from everybody's kind of ideas is that we live on a flat plane and the sun orbits in a circular fashion around what we think of as the pole at the moment on the sphere model. But there's actually
don't assume we all believe that, though.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Strongly disagree.
Just tell us what you observe.
I observe 3 phenomenon, which means the sun has to a immeasurable distance away to my observational reality, and they are as follows. One of them I found online, but one of them I can actually test myself, and then the other is just basic logic. So number 1 is this. If you go outside, and you can look this up on a website, you can find when the moon is going to be visible with the sun. I believe you can find a website for this, and I've seen it multiple times. Now, if you hold up a ping pong ball in front of that moon, and you observe the shading on that ping pong ball, now it would have to be kind of a matte surface for you to be able to see shading on it. You can see that it's shaded in much a similar way to the moon is. Now, there's potentially two reasons for this. Is one, the moon is incredibly close to you, and the size is relationally smaller. Or 2, the sun is such a distance away that the light hitting both the small object in your hands and the considerably larger object further away is almost parallel. Now, if you
have you done that ping pong ball?
Negative. Where's my hotspot?
Yeah.
Have you done it often? Have you?
No, like 3 or 4 times.
Well, Plain Truth has a version of that, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt him, but I did a similar observation.
You use specular highlight.
I did a similar observation early in the morning with a baseball, and I had the moon and the baseball lined up, and to my opinion, they were not similar in any fashion.
Right. Okay. So the way that I would do this experiment, because just to give you a bit of background on myself, I'm actually a 3D graphic artist of a long time, like 18 years. So I know about light simulation and things like that. So in my observations, it would have to be where the sun is elevated enough so that it doesn't get what you call scatter coefficients or absorption coefficients through the atmosphere, assuming that is the case. But even if that's taken, let's say, at half value, you've got the other 2. So if the sun is moving, I'm going to assume, and I apologize if this is not correct for people, but I'm going to assume that the sun rotates around a disk, and it stays, give or take, near the equator, or what we think of as the equator line on this flat disk. Now, if you observe the sun from any point...
Sorry, can I just stop you just for 1 second? Sorry to interrupt.
That's
so,
right.
Are you now presenting a flat Earth argument to debunk?
I'm presenting observations that tell me that the sun is a large distance away, and that a flat Earth doesn't fix with my next point.
Well, do you want to just tell us how you presume the sun is a far distance away? Because I have no idea what the sun is, let alone what its path and trajectory is. I've only got to go on what they tell us.
Right. Okay. So the sun distance to me is throughout the day on a circular path around a disk. If that was the case, the energy output would change and the light differential would change.
Sorry, I don't want to hear about what the flat Earth wouldn't do. Yeah. If you believe the Earth is a sphere with the sun far away, how do you come to that conclusion?
Oh, right. Okay. So 15 degrees rotation per hour.
Sorry,
so if
rotation. Hold on. You said that very quickly. 15-degree rotation. What do you want to expand on that?
Okay, let's take the word rotation out of it. I apologize. 15 degrees relative movement from wherever I am.
Yeah, so?
Right. So that means if that object is close, based on the distance that I travel. So imagine I'm looking at it from where I am right now in England, Milton Keynes. And the sun moves 15 degrees. Now, if I go to the equator on the equinox and the sun also moves 15 degrees...
Just before you carry on, sorry, I've got to interrupt just to get a bit of clarity. So you're going to the equator, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say?
So going to the equator, or anywhere actually. I was in Menorca not so long ago, but anywhere nearer the equator.
What do you mean by the equator? I'm just trying to get clarity on your explanation. What do you mean by the equator exactly?
Well, I would say the Canary Islands.
No, I don't mean geographically. I mean, what type of equator are you talking about? I mean, what is the equator in your mind?
All right, the center point between the Arctic regions.
And where and what? Just give me a bit more detail.
So on your model.
No, on your model. Don't give me some straw man to debunk. You're trying to tell me why the sun's far away. So far, we've got to the equator,
okay, so which
is a concept,
so the equator
right?
is the closest.
Hold on, I'm just trying to give you a bit of clarity. So the equator's a concept. I want you to give me your description of that concept, please.
All right, the central point of true west-east, not magnetic, true west-east on the map of what I presume to be a globe.
So you're presuming it's a globe already, then?
The highest probability, yes.
Sorry. We are trying to ascertain whether or not the Earth is a sphere or not, and you have just told me that you're automatically assuming it. So presumably this equator that you're travelling to is on the side of a sphere, correct?
You can use either model.
Sorry, I have already told you twice. I'm not interested in your strawman debunking of what you assume we think. I'm asking you what you think, and we have got to the stage where you are now presupposing you are on a sphere, are you not?
I'm saying you can look at it from either, but one.
I'm not looking at it either. You, sir, announced that you were a globehead when you came in. Do not present a straw man. Present your argument for why you think the sun is far away. We've established why you think the sun is far away, because you presuppose the Earth is a sphere. You have just explained that to me and my audience. You can take it to be either. I'm not listening to the... You're not listening. You're now talking while I haven't finished my sentence. Don't be so rude. Okay? You have told us that we have two choices, flat or sphere. Well, I've already told you 3 times, not interested in your straw man debunking. I'm only interested in how you come to the conclusion that the sun is far away. You come to that conclusion by mathematics added to a presupposition that you are already on a sphere.
I come to that conclusion, yes, because the 15 degrees motion in the sky of the sun is a constant.
Yes, that's called an affirming the consequent. It's a formal logical fallacy.
In discern.
Don't just stutter. Acknowledge what I have just said. Do you understand what a formal logical fallacy is? In this instance, affirming the consequent.
No, explain it to me.
Sure. If I eat a 12-inch pizza, I am full. Yeah? If P, then Q. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Q, I am full. Therefore, I just ate a 12-inch pizza. P. Even though I just had Chinese food. That is an affirming the consequent. Formal logical fallacy. You are saying, if the Earth is a sphere, then if I go to the equator, this will happen. I go to the equator and this will happen, therefore the Earth is a sphere. It is an affirming the consequent, formal logical fallacy. Do you understand, sir?
I understand the...
Right! So don't beg the bloody question here. Don't assume your outcome. Offer us some evidence for why you think the sun is far away. Don't just assume it's because you're on a sphere. That is ludicrous. That is an assumptive statement. It is a logical fallacy, sir. Please don't do it again.
Nath, can I step in here? I want to ask a question.
No problem.
What makes you think that do you think that the sun's 93 million miles away?
I would. It's a high probability given the information that I receive, and based on the fact that I can observe it being a long, long way away and parallel lines of illumination. I would expect so. I couldn't swear.
Sphere, right?
Sorry, so hang on. What's the information that you've received that makes you accept that it's that far away?
The logic of the 15 degrees movement in the sky, no matter where I am on the planet.
I'm asking about the distance.
Sorry, I just point this out for the audience. On the planet is I've just told you not to do this. Why have you just said on the planet? So you already know you're on a planet, do you, dick brain? I'll start insulting if you do it one more time. I will kick you out. Do not beg the question. On the planet is an assumption. Don't beg the question.
So you've asked me to do two things there. You've asked me not to argue from a point of your standpoint and show the fallacies of your argument, but you
Don't produce a straw man, that's correct. Don't tell me what I think so you can debunk that. That is a straw man. Yes, that's correct. Do not offer straw man arguments here. I am not interested in straw man. Don't tell me what I think and then try and debunk it. Correct.
And now you've just told me not to assume that we're on a sphere. So right now I'm floating in space.
No. Space is another assumption.
I'm floating in nothingness then, whatever that is.
Sorry, I've got my feet 2 feet firmly on the ground.
Okay, so we can assume that we're both on the ground then. We are.
Yes, I don't need to assume that. That is patently obvious to anybody with feet. Do you understand what I've just said? There is no assumption that I'm on the ground. It is patently obvious.
Okay, so
right, so I don't need to assume that, do I? Just like you don't need to assume you're on a sphere, sir.
Okay, let's throw. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to get argumentative about
back to my question.
It's a debate, you absolute buffoon. Argumentative. If you tell me that your presupposition stands and that you're on a sphere again, I'll just kick you out. Don't beg the question here.
I'm just wondering, from what point do you get to that 15-degree angular change?
Let's only carry on.
Yeah,
to
can
a
I finish my
distance
point?
or a sphere or anything of that.
Arwin,
One at a time,
finish
please.
my point. Because I have started, I got 2 questions out and we haven't got to the end of it yet, and I'd like to get to the end of it. It's a straightforward one. We should get there pretty quick. Is it okay if we finish on with my point, Arwin?
Sure.
So I asked how far away the sun was. I said, do you accept this 93 million miles? And you said yes, based on the information that you got. I then asked what information had you got, and then you said something about logic, and then it got interrupted. Because so
Okay.
let's go back to that. What's the information that you accept that the sun's 93 million miles away?
So the sheer fact that to me it can't be close, because if you go outside with a solar panel, let's say, and you measure, or even an advanced light meter. I've got a light meter for my photography equipment, and you actually get a temperature, a light temperature reading, and depending on how sensitive the sensor is, it can be really good. Obviously, it's affected by atmospherics and things like that, but not to a massive variance. Now, to me, if the sun was a localized entity, no matter what it is, and it's flying close to us, unfortunately, you have to assume and have input arguments to be able to say, well, let's assume it's 1,000 miles up or something.
Why? Why
Well,
would you need to assume that?
Why?
Because you would test it with input conditions, but the point is, all of these input conditions actually, I mean, even if it's 100,000 miles up, it doesn't matter. The input conditions are what I'm about to say.
I disagree. You don't need to assume anything about any distance or location. You just need to figure out that.
All right, so
sunlight coming from a certain direction.
Yeah, so
my angular speed.
So my question is this then: if I can determine that the light being emitted by the sun is a constant throughout, let's say peak day, given no cloud cover or serious atmospheric or pressure changes, and I can tell that the energy output is fairly constant as well, with very minimal variance, and the variance that does occur goes up and down, so it's not like it's continually decreasing or it's continually increasing or anything like that. Given that fact, is it not fair to assume that I could come to a probability that I'm... Sorry,
no, carry on. Get to your conclusion, please.
Is it not fair to assume that I can come to a probability that, based on the time that has passed, the sun's distance has not changed to me or my observational equipment, or is that infinitesimally small, the distance changed in relation to the overall distance? And I think that's how I come...
That doesn't tell us 93 million miles, though.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Right, that's what I was going to get to. You've not answered my question, though. My question was, what information have you got that's not logic, that's based on facts, that tells you that it's 93 million miles away? Let's focus on that question.
Oh, right. Absolutely none.
Right. So what you're doing is using logic and reason to deduce that it's really far away.
Yes. There you go.
Now,
So
you mentioned parallel rays before.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Nathan, would you mind presenting? You know what
Yeah,
crepuscular rays are, right?
I do indeed, yes.
Do you want to tell us how these are parallel?
Because of the apparent sun's distance, which is a long way away, that makes it observable parallel rays.
Can you see my screen?
No, wait a minute.
You might need to click the thumbnail in the Hangout.
The thumbnail in the Hangout. Oh, I've got the YouTube channel, the YouTube stream. I've got the YouTube stream open, so yes, I can.
So you can see the picture of the sun that's casting light rays through the clouds, yeah?
Yep, absolutely.
So if I was to draw, I mean, just call me logical and reasonable, but if I was to draw a logical and reasonable line that carried on the continuation of all these, they would all meet at one cumulative point. They would all accumulate in one place, correct?
Correct.
Why are they not vertical or parallel?
Because you're looking at them from the size of them and perspective, and I can actually show you that right now in 3D if you want.
Sure, please do.
Oh, awesome! Right, wait a minute, because I've got a. Let's see if I can share this. I'm just going to start a new scene before I share my screen itself.
So we're straight into the pseudoscience models. We're going to beg the question, build ourselves a little sphere in a computer, and then show us how this works based on you begging the question, assuming it's a sphere, and modelling that assumption, correct?
Sorry, say that again. I'm still
So
playing
we're
around
into pseudoscience models.
Hang on, let's see what he's got to say first. Let's not prejudge him.
Well, I've said I don't want to beg the question, and we're literally going to build ourselves a little sphere. So we're already going to be on a sphere the second we step into this model.
I'm not building a sphere. Can you? I'll build it. It'll be on a flat Earth.
No,
it's nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
Listen, guys. Can I reiterate this? In games, like I said before, they try a sphere model, didn't work. They tried a flat plane because it looks more realistic.
I could do it on a sphere if you really want. Can everybody
No,
see my
you
screen?
cannot. No, you cannot.
Can people see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I'm going to create we'll call it a flat plane, but I could create something the size of the Earth if you wanted as well. There's a unit size on the left here. We could just say that let's say this is a meter. So this at the moment is a width of 1, height of 1. So, actually, we'll call this, I don't know, kilometers. It doesn't really matter for this purpose because it's about relational perspective more than anything else. So if I go and create a camera now, which is going to be our point of view, and we'll just have a standard camera that I'm going to look through. So I'm looking from a tool's view at the moment, but that's the camera that I'm going to look through. And I think the human eye has got a certain millimeter designation that I can't remember at the moment, and I think everybody's is quite different. But now if I create, let's say, these rays, and we'll symbolize these rays as this object that's quite huge, because these light rays coming in are actually quite immense. And these I'm not going to alter this box at all. All I'm going to do is rotate it and move it up. Now, what I've got here, if I add this to a layer that just does template so we can see the lines, and I come back down to this camera here, I can look through this camera, and what we'll do is we'll point it up at those rays, and we can move it back as well. It won't really make a difference, but there is a look through selected somewhere. Actually, I'll just create another view so that we can see it side by side easier. So now, this view here, because I'm close, has got this kind of perspective feel to these rays coming down. Now, if we think of this as one ray coming down, we can obviously see that these are not parallel, and it looks like they might have a point of convergence. But the point there is this is just relational perspective. You're looking at a building and saying, well, if you're at the base of a building looking up and it's smaller, you're obviously going to say, oh, well, there's a point of convergence there. Well, optically, there is, but in reality, there actually isn't if you just carry the building up and it was parallel lines. So what you're looking at here is you're looking at two things, actually. So this only says one of them. This is the perspective of looking at volumetric light. But there is also diffusion and dispersion through the atmosphere of that light as well, because light passing through any medium has got, obviously, certain different characteristics of how it will be diffused as well. But these are basically your perspective lines. And if I was to create many of these, at different sizes, you would be able to see the image that you're seeing, basically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Okay. But if you were to put a local sun, how would you be able to distinguish the perspective lines against the local sun rays?
A local sun? No, you wouldn't. Well, wait a minute. Let me think. Well, as a pilot, I fly out of Cranfield airstrip sometimes, and the actual cloud shadowing from above the clouds are actually parallel. So they'd also have to be. They'd have to match with my reality observations on the ground. So obviously I can see perspective on the ground like this, but let's say it's a local sun source doing this. Then if I get in like a Piper and go flying above the clouds and I see the shadows that some of the clouds, cast on themselves or across, I can see that they are parallel and uniform. So for a local sun, both those observations for me logically would have to match up. I'm not saying it's still.
So just back to the question, the question I asked was, how would you distinguish perspective against the local sun ray lights that are called crepuscular? How would you distinguish against the two?
From a ground level, I'd have to know the cloud ceiling height to be able to discern that kind of information. So for instance, if I knew the cloud ceiling height, so I don't know, I mean, this is incredibly small on the scale of things, but if the cloud ceiling height was, let's say, huge, and these rays are being cast down from a distance, let's say like this, and they're coming in at an angle like so, I'd have to know the ceiling height of the clouds and my actual position from where the light is coming through to be able to accurately answer that.
So is the answer to the question you couldn't?
No, except when I go flying and I look above the clouds and the rays that you see below are actually parallel above the clouds.
Do you have any evidence that you could show that?
Oh my God, yeah. I don't know whether I'll tell you what, I might even have some of my photos. I might not, but wait a minute, let me have a look. It'd probably be easier searching Google than searching my network drive, to be honest.
So whilst you're looking, it's probably a straightforward, obvious question for you, but have you ever seen the curvature of the Earth whilst you've been flying?
Oh, absolutely not. No. Well, no, absolutely
Good.
not.
I'm glad you said that.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can. You'd have to be. Oh my God, I'd love to see the curvature of the Earth.
There is no curve.
All right, okay. I would love to see the proposed curvature or flatness of the Earth from very high altitude, but unfortunately.
Do you know what altitude is supposed to be necessary so that you can see it?
I could model it right now and have an approximate look if you wanted, but I don't know.
We can use Google Earth and we can get to 30,000 feet, which is the average height of a commercial airliner, a commercial jet, and we can clearly see the curvature of the Earth there.
Oh yeah, I don't think Google Earth is meant to be to show that. I think it's.
Oh really? Everybody thinks it is.
No, it's not. It's not meant to show you curvature. I don't think.
No, but it actually does because of the geometric size.
It's a good point, Riley.
We can try it. I mean, would you like me to demonstrate it?
No, man. Do you want me to demonstrate an Earth-sized object here that I can demonstrate quite easy?
Well, I mean, let's just go with the Google Earth one first.
I can't. Well, so first of all, the one thing that I can't do, I can't attest to NASA being honest. I can't attest to anybody being honest, and I can't attest to secondary knowledge or anything like that. That I haven't. I'm a software developer as well, but I haven't written Google Earth. I don't know the thinking behind it, but I can't imagine one of the primary design principles was let's accurately represent the curvature of the Earth. I think it would be.
So why would they show it when you zoom out then?
Yeah, how did you come up with a curved Earth in the first place if it's not observable?
How did I come up with it? I didn't.
Well, anybody. How did the globe apologists come up with the idea that the Earth is a globe when it's not observable?
We've already established that. They assume it. They just say, if the Earth is a sphere, and then they roll with it from there on in and do their calculations with that assumption from there on.
Dino, you're getting your money's worth today.
Yeah, no, I like this.
Did you hear what I said, though? At what point do you see a curve?
Oh, probably, I don't know.
You've not observed it, have you?
I haven't, but I would have to say it would be around like 70, 80,000 miles.
But you're an apologist for it, but you've never actually observed it.
Oh, no, correct. 100% correct.
Okay.
Is that really you, Ranty?
Are you
Ranty?
agnostic then?
Hold on, Mark. Is that you, Ranty?
It is, yeah. Hello.
Oh, okay.
So are you agnostic then?
I'm agnostic as much as I can be in anything. I believe that the highest probability by no small stretches that I am living on a planet.
So as a pilot, you truly believe that you're flying around on a ball.
No, I believe I'm flying around on a planet.
I like that. At least you're being honest and you say you believe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but I mean, belief is about probability to the best of my ability. But here's the thing: I would love to be on a flat surface because it throws out most of the preconceptions of nothingness that I have in my head. I would absolutely love it.
But when you're flying and you're looking out that window, that's what you're seeing is a flat surface.
Oh,
right?
correct.
You said
Yeah.
you see no curve. You said that yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So what you're seeing is a flat surface.
However,
It's
there's one thing that I have an ability to do, and I don't know whether it's because I'm a 3D artist or something like that. I can relationally put myself in a different perspective or a different scale. So
you mean you use your imagination.
Yeah, so there you go.
To believe that you're on a ball because that's what you were taught, like everybody else. But when you when you look out, you see a flat plane. You know that. You said it yourself.
Yeah, 100%. But I am also acutely aware that at the scale of things, it's like asking, do you know what a tardigrade is? It's one of the smallest sort of like, the smallest semi-complex organisms or whatever that there is. But it's like it thinks it's on a flat plane as well, but it happens to be on a saliva gland inside someone's mouth. But it lacks the ability to transpose itself to realizing that it's such an insignificant small speck. It wouldn't know whether it's on a diamond or a star or a sphere or a pyramid. It just wouldn't know.
So you think then it just goes back to scale. So basically we're just too small and the planet is too big to notice.
Oh, absolutely. So if you can still see my screen, I'll show you something that I did when I started looking into this.
Can I ask, do you feel the same way about the spin? Do you think that's why we don't feel spinning? Because
we don't feel spinning because of relativity, really, an enclosed system. So it's the same reason why, if I was on a so
How about centrifugal forces then? That's not relative.
No, we feel acceleration and deceleration. We would not feel a constant if there was no change.
No, centrifugal force is not about acceleration or deceleration.
What do you mean? Can I feel centrifugal force?
Oh, yeah.
No, I
Get
can't.
on a merry-go-round, you'll feel it.
Yeah, because that's
a constant angular speed of a merry-go-round will make you feel.
I'll wait till you finish and then I'll tell you. Yeah. However, the arc of which I am going means I'm changing direction in a noticeable fashion. If that example that you just gave me was 150 billion times bigger, and I was going 1,000 miles an hour, I wouldn't feel what you're saying is centrifugal force, because
but it's not 1,000 miles an hour, though, is it? Because at 12 midnight, you're on the outside of the arc around the sun, and within 12 hours, you're on the inside, and you've changed direction. And there's two things going on. There's 1,000 miles per hour as well as 66,000 miles per hour combined together. And are you telling me that you wouldn't feel that?
In an enclosed system, absolutely not. No, I wouldn't. The only way that I would ever feel.
Sorry, just got to interrupt. Sorry, bear with me a second. Sorry, did you just say in an enclosed system?
Yeah, like a fish tank.
Are we in a fish tank? According to the heliocentric system? According to the heliocentric system, before you give me any dodgy answer, is a pressurized system next to a vacuum. That would be an open system.
I don't understand what you mean by pressurized system. Like something's pressurizing us. We have got pressure, but nothing's pressurizing us, if you get me.
Sorry,
it's
we on Earth have gas pressure, correct?
Sorry, say again.
On Earth, we have gas pressure. I'm breathing it right now.
Yes.
It's gas. It has a pressure, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Well, yes.
Right.
It doesn't have a pressure.
We're halfway there, sir. Halfway there. So we have a pressurized system, that would be Earth gas pressure, that is next to a vacuum, according to your theory. So that would
Are you
be
asking me whether that's correct, or are you
nearly
stating
finished.
that's what I think?
80% there. Just be patient. So you stated we would not feel that force in a closed system like a fish tank. We are in an open system with air, gas pressure, not fluid like a fish tank. So we are in an open system in your fantasy world of Ball Earth.
So you're telling me what I think?
No, I am telling you a fact of your model. If you do not understand it, I will repeat it. Did you not understand the fact of your model that I stated? Do I need to repeat that fact?
I understand the fact.
I am not telling you what you think. I am stating a fact about the heliocentric model, sir. If you disagree with that fact, please state it now.
Well, when I think of a system, I think of something controlled.
I couldn't give a crap what you think of a system. We are talking about Earth. Earth is an open system. You have just stated we wouldn't feel those forces in a closed system. Can you explain this contradiction, please?
Yeah. So from a perception sense, it's very hard to think of the Earth as an open system, because you would have to comprehend that the forces acting on the atmosphere, if you throw out gravity, obviously all of this goes to pot, but in my vision, gravity is real and provable and demonstrable. So the issue there is it's a relatively enclosed system. By that I mean, if you go up, yes, air gets thinner, gravity gets less, and there's no definitive glass barrier that says, hey, this is inside and this is out. It actually it's a fading system of pressure. You can get to
Sorry,
less pressure.
it's an open system. It's not a fading system of pressure. It is an open system, sir.
Correct, open system.
Right. So, back to my original question. Why the contradiction?
Because in order for us to kind of realize that down here, we're at such a scale that it doesn't matter whether it's closed or open.
Sorry, you have just said in a closed system. Why would you define that if it doesn't matter?
No, let me finish. So, given the scale of which we are at, it's actually hard to comprehend. It's like thinking that the tardigrades on a dog and all that kind of thing again.
Now, I don't need an analogy. I just need to know why you have said that in a closed system, we would not feel these forces, the inertia, the rim speed, the absolutely astronomical travelling distances, the changes in direction. We would not feel them because of scale in a closed system. Now you are telling us that we are in an open system in the model we are trying to define. The pseudoscience begging the question, no proof of our model. That's what we are doing. You have a contradiction still.
Okay, I was using it in an analogy in order to be able to...
Oh, right. We don't want to know about allegory here. We are interested in reality, not allegory. Do you know the difference?
Okay, so if you want me to answer, then the particles that make up the oxygen and atmosphere lower to the ground are influenced a billion times. I don't know. Pick a large number. 1 billion times more than any other forces acting on them from anywhere, regardless of inside, outside, or anything.
What?
Sorry, what does that have to do with the system being open when you say the forces would not be felt in a closed system? The contradiction is still there, still glaring, and still unaddressed.
It wouldn't be felt in an open system.
Sorry, say that again. You talked over me before I'd finished redefining the fact that you have dodged this question. We still have a glaring contradiction. You have stated that we would not feel these forces in a closed system. Earth, correct, the one you believe you live on, the bullshit fantasy globe sphere Earth with no proof of R, is an open system. There is a contradiction. You have still not addressed this.
Okay. The contradiction was purely for a visualization sense, and I apologize. I will now concede the fact that the Earth, let's think of it as an open system. But my statement about the gravity acting on us right now is is infinitesimally more than any other outside forces.
What gravity?
But the same gravity that's
Sorry,
acting
what is
on,
this gravity
on
you talk
the air.
of? Sorry, you're
Sorry,
now...
say that again.
Hold on, we need to clarify what terms we are now talking about. Are we talking about Newtonian or Einsteinian gravity, sir?
Einsteinian, let's say.
So we're talking about... Sorry, I don't really
difference between the
understand how the bending of space-time would cause a barrierless system to not be affected by inertial forces. That makes no sense.
Oh, inertial forces, I agree with you, but these aren't...
That's the point of this conversation, sir. Are you slow? Take your time.
I'm very slow.
You seem slow. So, why don't we feel the forces of inertia in this alleged ball-shaped open system?
Because we are at such a scale that the inertia that you think is this big thing...
We don't think there is inertia, sir. You think there is inertia. Please do not tell me what I think.
What force would I be feeling?
We don't feel any force. That is the point, you complete buffoon.
You don't have to be this aggressive. You know?
You are a buffoon. You are asking me what forces we feel when we feel none.
So my question is this then: if you
don't ask me a question, answer mine. Why do we not feel these forces of inertia on the alleged bullshit ball-shaped open system?
Scale.
Scale.
Yep.
Scale. That's it, right?
Yep, 100%.
We do have something.
Wouldn't you say that centrifugal force actually
so wait a minute. Let me
increases the further away from the
It's all right. Scale. So when we see a inertial force, a rim speed increase on a merry-go-round, if we scaled it up to the size of Earth, I would expect that force to increase.
So would I.
So would I.
I got a slight different question.
Hold on, Chocolate. Hold on, Chocolate. Hold on. Chocolate.
Yeah, let him answer.
You've just said it's scale, and I've said that the scale increasing, if we model out a little sphere and spin it, and then increase that to a rim velocity of 1,000 miles an hour, and then throw that model, physical model, not computerized, around something at 66,000 miles an hour, I would expect differences in acceleration, precisely as was put to you. Yeah?
Right, so, yep, brilliant. Right, so can I explain this now then, or can I put
Well,
forward...
you've said scale, and we've pointed out that we are scaling up these inertial forces in this open system. So we would feel them more. We have another glaring contradiction.
Right, can I explain this?
The glaring contradiction that as you scale things up, the forces would increase.
No, I'm gonna put it in a practical way, and you can tell me whether you disagree with it or not. So let's stop velocity for 2 seconds, and let's just go with angle. So you're
Sorry, no. Let's not go with angle. According to you, Earth has a velocity. I do not now want to talk about angular relationships when we are talking about the speed and force it causes. No.
Do you want me to explain this or not?
Not with an angle. No. I want you to explain it using 1,000 mile an hour Earth and a 66,000 mile an hour speed around the sun. Not an angular change. That doesn't produce any forces. That is a mathematical concept that does not produce any force or feeling on my body. The question is why we do not feel these forces. Now you want to talk in mathematical angles as opposed to forces of velocity. So, no.
I'm going to use a merry-go-round thing. Yeah?
We actually hear many explanations always, but we haven't seen any proof of none of this yet.
Well, just listen to this and tell me if I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, I want to know it. Yeah, that's the difference. If I'm wrong, I want to know it. I don't want to be belittled, and I don't want to start an argument. If I'm wrong, it's important for me to find out.
Okay, fine. You explain to us how when you scale up something with an edge velocity, it decreases in force.
Right. So in a merry-go-round that's, let's say, 6 meters diameter, and let's say it's spinning. Let's increase the rotation to make it relational to the Earth. Let's say it's spinning at 1 revolution per day.
So it's got an edge velocity of about 6 inches an hour or something stupidly slow. It's virtually not moving.
Yeah.
Nathan, will you share my screen, please?
Now if we increase.
Sorry, how is that comparable though? I don't understand.
So wait a minute. Now, if we increase that radius now to be the radius of the Earth, obviously now we're traveling around. But at what it was there, I couldn't really feel it that much, could I?
No, but then when you increase it to 1,000 miles an hour, you do definitely feel it. That force would increase.
So here's the thing. What am I feeling in that merry-go-round? I'm feeling a change in direction. That's what I'm feeling. Let's take air out of it. Let's say there's no air resistance, but I'm feeling...
Why? We exist with air. We have established this. We have this open system. Why would we now remove the air, hypothetically, from this open system in which we feel no forces?
Nathan, will you show my screen?
You are.
Carry on talking what you're talking.
Yeah, you're on. You're on, Mark.
Yeah, can you see that picture? It's a sine wave.
Yeah, it's very blurry. I don't know whether... Wait a minute, let me see if I can...
Our movement of 1,000 miles an hour plus 66,000 miles an hour creates a sine wave where we would accelerate and decelerate over 24 hours. And at 6 p.m. one day to 6 p.m. the next day, we have traveled 1.5 million miles.
Yes, I get that.
And we're going in a sine wave. Do you understand that as well?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so it's
Tremendous.
not one direction.
Tremendous forces.
We're exerting, there's two forces being directed on us over 24 hours.
Yes, okay.
So when somebody says that if you're going in one straight line, you'll never, at a uniform velocity, you'll never feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you exert a second force on it, you will feel it.
Depending on the change in direction. If the change in direction was incredibly slow, you wouldn't feel it.
Well, what about 1,000 miles an hour? Is that slow?
And 66,000 miles an hour, is that slow?
No, you measure it in degrees per second.
Oh, do we? We measure things in miles per hour. Why would we change it to degrees? Is it because it makes it seem slower?
No, it's because the velocity that you're going forward, you don't account for. You actually measure change over time, not, oh my God, we're already doing 1,000 miles an hour, so when we turn 2 degrees left, that's 1,000 miles an hour left.
Yeah, it is. That's precisely what it is. Like on a waltzer, yeah?
What?
Like on a waltzer.
Like on a waltzer?
Yeah, you know what a waltzer
exactly
is?
like a waltzer.
You know what a waltzer is at the theme park? It's going around in a circle, like the Earth goes in a circle, and then it goes in a secondary trajectory in a circle, exactly like the orbit of Earth. Are you saying that you don't feel those forces when you change direction? Like is on screen?
I 100% feel the direction change on a waltzer. 100%.
Right. Would that be because it's an open system?
It's nothing to do with the system. It's to do with relative scale.
Really? So if you were in a tight little bubble, yeah, you wouldn't feel it. If you were in a water bubble, you wouldn't feel it. You would feel it completely. If you were in a bubble of water inside that waltzer, contained.
I'm actually feeling the change in mass and inertia based off gravity. So yes, if gravity is still acting on me, of course I would.
If gravity is acting on you, do you have any scientific evidence of gravity, or is this just something else that you assert?
I don't assert it. The scientific community do, and it's.
Sorry, the scientific community means nothing. Yeah, I asked if you had any scientific evidence of it.
It's demonstrable.
Sorry, do you know what scientific evidence means?
Explain it to me then.
Certainly. You observe a phenomena, then you formulate a hypothesis, then you test the hypothesis to invalidate or validate the theory, which you have formulated in the hypothesis. The scientific method is hypothesis-driven.
Okay.
So, what's your scientific evidence for gravity?
The fact that we can predict based off the nature of gravity and test it in different conditions, and those predictions are true.
Sorry, there is a special kind of prediction in science. It's called a hypothesis.
Well, you could test the hypothesis that all objects, regardless of weight, will fall...
Sorry, we're going a little bit too fast here. You didn't listen. Step 1. Observe a phenomena. What phenomena are we observing here?
Objects falling to the ground at a constant rate.
So your dependent variable, yeah? The things that you are trying to vary with your independent variable, your dependent variable has a constant value. Is that correct?
The value of, it's an accelerating value, but yeah, it gets to whatever the terminal velocity is. But that terminal velocity is also an input variable.
Sorry, an input variable? I don't follow. You're trying to vary the dependent variable by manipulating the independent variable.
Explain it how you want. My point is this. If
Sorry,
I drop two
don't
objects
explain
out,
it how you want. You've just said that the scientific community backs the assertion of gravity, and I've asked you for your scientific evidence. You don't seem to understand.
I don't
Shut
know.
up. Stop talking over me. Shut up.
evidence.
Shut up, you rude man. Yeah? You don't seem to understand what scientific evidence is. You don't seem to understand what a scientific prediction is, and you don't seem to have an observed phenomena or a dependent variable. So, you have no scientific evidence of gravity, sir. It is simply something you assert with pseudoscience and opinion of men. Okay?
from my own personal perspective.
I couldn't give a crap about your personal perspective on gravity. I asked for scientific evidence. If you need a further explanation of what scientific evidence is, so you can go away, forage around to find there is none, that's fine. I will personally humiliate you as long as you desire, until you understand what I say here. There is no scientific evidence of gravity. Okay?
So educate me then. Is gravity not the observable core, the observable effect of things dropping? Is that not the name that we give it to it? The thing that pulls things to the ground or pushes them or makes them otherwise go towards the ground?
No,
you tell me, sir, this is your assertion, not mine. Don't ask me what gravity does. Just provide some scientific evidence for it.
I was actually asking, what is your take on the thing that pulls things to the ground?
What, potential energy? Potential
whatever.
energy, you mean? You mean potential energy that you can put into things? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, nothing's pushing, nothing's pulling.
So if you pick up, let me just give you a quick explanation. If you pick up a microphone, you insert potential energy into it. Then when you let go, it goes back to an equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
Were you to not pick up the microphone, it would not drop.
Okay, yeah.
Okie dokie. So, do you have any scientific evidence? You don't seem to have conceded this point yet. You're now asking me questions, as opposed to conceding that you have no scientific evidence for your assertion.
I personally have no scientific evidence for assertion of gravity.
That's because there is no scientific evidence for gravity, something I'm asking you now to concede.
But I can see its effect.
No. Cause and effect is established in a hypothesis with an independent and a dependent variable. That is called a scientific prediction. The entire scientific method is based on these predictions. It is hypothesis driven. That is science. What you are presenting is bollocks. Do you understand?
Okay. I understand point of view, yes. So my question to you would be, crystals forming from humidity in clouds that eventually turn into snow, who lifted them up there and how do they fall? Wouldn't they just stay there?
No.
Why?
Because of buoyancy.
Okay, so buoyancy is the thing because they're more dense than the air surrounding it. Correct?
They become more dense, yeah.
Oh yeah, because they could become more dense. So it's the density differential between the air and that object that causes it to like be pushed in a direction.
Not the gravity.
No, I'm asking, is that the thing? You call it, well, we can all call it gravity because it's just a force that, well, we can call it whatever we want.
Well, we can call it gravity, but there's no scientific evidence for it whatsoever. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!